And we are officially live. Great day, family. First and foremost, happy MLK Day. Man, I tell you, it is on a Monday, January 20th. And for all those that's tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. I hope that you guys are being safe during this time. And especially if you're in the Northeast or the Southeast. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it is freezing, so I'm hoping that you guys is drinking something warm and that you're definitely taking precautions with this cold weather that is among us. But nevertheless, it is a blessing. Shawn A. White here, coming to you for another installment here of Transformation Greatness, along with SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. You're reaching episode 351. Go ahead. Sorry about that. Yeah, for whatever reason, we just kind of tuned off right there. I apologize for that, but I guess this is a take two here. So with that, folks, we're going to be talking about vision. And what does that look like in your life? And I just think that it's just fitting because it is Martin Luther King Day. He is internationally recognized as one of the greatest men that have walked the face of this planet. And I want to go ahead and use him and everything in which that he stood for as a way to really drive home my point. So do me a favor, if you will. If you catch this on the live, put in hashtag live. Let us know exactly where you're tuning in from. And if you should be happy to catch this on a replay, go ahead and put in hashtag replay. So who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, my name is Shawn A. White, and I am the founder and creator of a brand which is called Transformation Greatness, which is all about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And with that, I've been given the gift of being a speaker, a coach, a hypnotherapist practitioner, but in addition as well as being a radio and TV personality with SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. We give small business owners and entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs the opportunity to really expand their reach by using the power of internet, TV and radio and other social media platforms. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the topic because this is the reason why that you're catching us on the live and on the replay to begin with. Vision. And what does that look like? I started out earlier as far as in the talk of speaking about this. And I want to really talk about an individual in which that we all know and admire, most of us, and why this day is dedicated and been given to him. And as many of you may know or may not know, Martin Luther King Jr. was definitely a revolutionary, and he was, I would say, way ahead of his time. I believe as far as that he's been given the gift of speaking by the Creator, by God. And he was just on a mission, guys, for equality and equal rights. There are some of those that believe that he was really for black people rights. And yes, that is true because of so much segregation, what was going on during those times. But ultimately, he was actually for human rights in general, regardless of the race or creed as well. And through his actions, his speeches today are in fact legendary and inspiring. Because he had a vision, he found out a long time ago that in order to walk the path in which that he was going to walk, it had to be bigger than himself. And he realized that as time went on and that the greater the burden became, I believe the more excited in which that he got. Were there some moments in which that he was afraid? Absolutely. Human nature, right? Of course, a lot was going on around that time. A whole lot. It takes, when it comes down to vision, to my understanding, it takes a certain level of courage and conviction. Because there's some things that's just going to come at you that you cannot perceive. There's some things in which that you will not be able to anticipate. And believe me, with Martin Luther King, He was constantly under scrutiny. His family was constantly in danger. But he realized that he had an assignment and a calling. One of his greatest speeches, out of the many speeches, right? Of course, I've been to the mountaintop, but there was one that really caught my attention out of all of them. And I believe that is called, What is Your Life's Blueprint? I want you to think about that for a second. What is your life's blueprint? What is it that you, ladies and gentlemen, are supposed to be doing? I remember there was one point in time in my life, actually several points in my life, if I can be transparent, in which that I knew I was supposed to have been doing this. As being a speaker, being a coach. I know I was supposed to have been doing something very similar to this, but I just didn't know what. And my teenage years, my 20s, and even my 30s, I would say it was really all about discovery. Basically just really just doing a lot of odd jobs, experimenting with life, if you will. But I always knew deep down in my heart of hearts, I was supposed to have been doing this. And yet, because I was experimenting, I was trying other things, I was figuring my way towards life. What was my life blueprint? What was I supposed to have been doing? And many of us, we go through that, right? Sometimes it takes us a while to figure out as far as on what our purpose, what our calling is. And if you're like me, it took a series of events. Thus, when I reached at the actual lowest points of my life, where it was literally the decision that I made to be obedient to this calling with either life or death, then, and only then, that's when the Creator was able to get my attention. Not to say as far as that He wasn't before, believe me, He was, but it just took that one particular point of me being that desperation and despair where He really got my attention and allowed me to accept the calling. Not knowing that when I said yes to it, of what it would cost. And so with MLK, as many of you know, it cost him a lot and ultimately his life. But I want you to stop and think about it. If you didn't answer that life's calling, if you didn't understand what his life blueprint was, then I believe that we will still be in bondage to this day in a lot of aspects. Now, some may argue and say, well, Shawn, we're still in bondage. Oh, okay. Listen, that's definitely up for discussion. But individuals such as MLK have made great sacrifices and strides in order for us to celebrate a day like this, in order for us to be able to be off from work. My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that as you're going through life, as you're embarking on 2025, what does vision in your own personal life looks like? Is there a burning desire to do as far as in what you do? Is there a burning desire to get up in the morning and just to get at it? Or is it like just, you know what, I'm going through the motions, I'm just going to work, I'm going to do that thing because it's just the thing to do because everybody else is doing the thing? I just want to be here just to remind you, disrupt, if you will, your current thinking or current program. Because just like with MLK back in the day, when he accepted the calling and said it's bigger than myself. Hey, Dr. Gina, just like with me 8-9 years ago, when I accepted that calling to motivate, encourage, and inspire the masses, in spite of what it may look like, what are you willing to commit to and to sacrifice? What is your purpose in life? I can tell you one thing. It's more than just going to work, paying bills, and dying. I tell you that much. That's for certain too, for a fact. But even if you say, well, you know what, Shawn, I'm content and I'm happy as far as on where I am. I just love working. I love as far as on what I do. I love for the company that I work for. It is all good. All good. But just like what he said in his speech, what's your life's blueprint? Make sure that you do it so well that not even, listen to this, not even heaven or hell would be able to even notice the difference. And what does that mean? That means do it all to the best of your ability. Be the best person that you can be, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's being an employee, whether it's being a parent, whether it's being a CEO, whether it's being a network marketer, whether it's being a speaker, whether it's being a coach, whatever it is that you put your mind, body, and spirit to, do it to the best of your ability. There's a speaker expo that I get the honor of spearheading, along with myself and with SBN, the Small Business Network. And I bring that up, ladies and gentlemen, because the speakers in which that we have, they all have a vision. They all have an understanding of their life's blueprint. And on April 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, check your local listings. They will be on and they will be presenting themselves a piece of who they are and what they bring to the marketplace. And why? Because they understand the vision that is cast upon their life, and they just want to go ahead and just share it with you all. And so I encourage you, man or woman or child that's watching this, if you don't have a vision yet, or you're trying to figure it out, it's totally fine. But I strongly recommend for you, hear me out, strongly suggest that you find out what it is as soon as possible. Why, Shawn? Why is that very important? Because in 2025, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what things are in store. We don't know as far as on what events may happen. And with that, you want to be in a position where you have that vision, you have that insight, you know on where you're going, and you know on who you're here to serve. That is of extreme importance. And so I want to leave you with this. MLK and many others during his time had the vision. They seen the foresight. And they said it was bigger than myself. Could have just been like everybody else and said, well, you know what? I'm not going to take it that far because, I'm only worrying about myself and for my family. And by the world standards, if they would have had that type of mentality, guess what? All would be well. They wouldn't have been disrupting people's thinking. They would have just been like the status quo, right? Nobody probably wouldn't have blamed them, right? I mean, hey, the times that it was, it was so bad, but nobody would have really blamed him. But because of the fact that he was a disruptor, courageous, valiant, and endured to the very end, is the reason why we get to do this here on social media. It's the reason why the equal opportunity has increased more so than during those times. It's the reason why that you're able to go about as far as on your own power. It's the reason why the freedom of speech has been enhanced and improved more so better because of individuals like Martin Luther King Jr. And my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, you may not want to do it as far as on that level because it takes a certain person. You have to be called for that. But why can't you be the hero in your life? Why can't you be the hero in your family's life? Why can't you be the hero in your respective community, in your respective area? I'm just saying. I hope that someone got some insight and some value from what I mentioned. I believe as far as the right person that's listening to this message will truly resonate with it. And again, family, for those speakers that's going to be a part of our first annual Speaker Expo, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be fantastic. And just to let you know, that's going to be the first of many. And if you are individuals that's saying, man, you know what? Hey, I would love, as far as to do on what you do, Brother Shawn, I would love to motivate, encourage, and inspire people and deliver a message of hope and just to get out there and really make a difference. If that's you, I would love to talk with you. I would definitely love to talk with you. There's so many opportunities in this space. And yeah, Latria, yeah, you're 1,000% correct. So I want to say hello to Tanisha, Dr. Gina, and many others that's tuning in. There's a lot of opportunities out here, folks. In 2025, this is the season. For many people, it's going to be a bounce back year. And for those, I believe this is the year of the visionary. That's what I believe. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Until then, family, if what I stated on here either motivated, transformed, or inspired at least one person, then may God be the glory, and I take no credit for absolutely none of it. Until then, you're all amazing. I appreciate each and every single last one of your time. Enjoy the rest of this visionary day, which is MLK Day. And by His grace and mercy, look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Peace and love, family. Thank you for your time. Be blessed.